one you have to have is Peter Lakai.
Have to have him there, I
He
agree.
was sensational all Super Rugby season, and attack-wise is just brilliant. One of the best back rowers going around in world rugby, I'd say. Defence needs a little bit of work, and then I had Wallace Sititi on my bench.
Here we go. Bombshell. Here it comes.
The Germinator, the German Shepherd, Anton Segner, was just irresistible. You talk about touring and people playing their way in. You have to pick him now. Like that was Richie McCaw-esque, wasn't it? 3 turnovers and just winning lineouts, 11 tackles without a miss, 13 carries or something. Just like incredible stats from Segner. And if he's recovered well from that Bulls game, I think you've got to inject him on the bench.
Yeah, I tell you what, if he will be the unluckiest All Black if he doesn't play, Mark. I can definitely see him starting a test during this series as well. But I'm not so sure. I think Dave Rennie, I just get the feeling that there's going to be a lean towards a conservative selection because of who he knows, and I could see Wallace getting that. But I mean, look, I think that is an absolutely 50-50 split.
Look, I've got a slightly different view on the locks. I would probably still look at possibly Derry and Holland starting, and I would still have a lot coming off the bench, and that to me would be Paddy Tuipulotu, but I'd be happy either way around. We've got to get the line out right. We've got to get set piece right. We've got to get the basics right in this first game. We've got to play a little.
Your box kick thing right. We've got to
play a little bit of percentage football. I sent you a message last night, Martin, on a couple of topics here. But if you were to ask me who the players we can least afford to get injured in the starting 15, and we pretty much have an idea on the starting 15, if we are to go well in this series, it's Fabian Holland and it's Terrell Lomax. Absolutely pivotal. They are the two players in terms of our set piece, whether it be line out at scrum time as well. Interesting on the Anton Segner one. I agree with what John said. I mean, just the physicality, his ability to turn ball over. Now, in the last few weeks, I've said the one thing I didn't see in those first two games was our ability to turn ball over at the breakdown. It doesn't seem to be something Luke Jacobson does. It's clearly something Ardie does, but we haven't seen him. Ardie Savea is an interesting one. Now, he has got so much pressure on him. Now, he is going to want to come out here and prove that not touring South Africa, not going on the plane initially was a performance enhancer. He's going to need to be at his best, because if he has a very, very poor game and the All Blacks were to lose this, the knives will come out for Ardie, whether we like it or not. That is just the way things are going to go. So, boy, I tell you what, he'll be looking over his shoulder of the pressure that has been put on. But isn't it just a great problem to have? We look at where we have been to look at where we are now. You've asked us, have we seen improvement under Ardie? Absolutely. Look at the competition for places. If we were to get injured, you would not, if any of those starting loose forwards were to get injured, you'd still be reasonably confident if you started Peter Lakai. You'd be reasonably confident if you started Anton Segner as an example, as loose forwards to come in for any of those current three.
I look at the Ardie thing the other way. I look at it in terms of the absolute inspiration that he can provide here, that he has. Look, he's 100 and something tests. He's been World Player of the Year. He was carrying the ball strong against Ireland. This guy gets off the gain line to start with and starts smashing and bashing and bucking like a bronco. And you imagine what that will lift the All Blacks as well. So, he's got a lot to prove. But at the same time, I think that's the player he is.
He loves the big stage. He loves being doubted.
Look, he got that turnover at the end of Eden Park last year, and it didn't actually end the game, but you saw the reaction in that. And this is the thing. I think that it could be the difference. Some players, look, Alex Ferguson used to do this sometimes, that he would bring a guy back and everyone would think, has he had enough football or something? But Brian Robson, he's that kind of player that just everyone in the dressing room looks at him and goes, Chris Cairns, we can win a game with you sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Ardie will actually provide.
And we've talked
but
about
the Springboks will target him. Don't worry about that.
They know that he's the guy. If they can cut the head off the snake, it's Ardie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And if they can smash him, bash him, run into the ground, make him limp off the field, they just know that would be a crushing blow for the All Blacks.
But the nice thing, isn't it, if that is the case, let's just say they take him out of the game, then what do? We've got Wallace to possibly bring on.
That's it. We've got
the likes of Anton Segner to bring on. We've got Lakai to potentially bring on. Exactly right. They're just different, but they're actually in great form in their own right.
This is what, the building of, and not just that. Look, John, we've also got a guy called Tavatavan Hawaii who at some stage... the All Blacks have been screaming out for the last few years about a guy that does nothing but bashes his opponent and gets over the gain line, right? And who is that guy? We've been looking for a number 6, whether it was Afina, whoever it was, who could do that, and no one. This guy does that.
Yeah.
And I think on this tour that we're going to have to lean on him at some stage, aren't we? He won't make the 23, I don't believe, this time. But he will at some stage during the tour.
How do you use him? I think that's something...
just as a battering ram.
Razor struggled with. Or where do you put him at second 5? Do you put him on the wing?
I would come off the bench and
just give him a roving
just say,
license.
get the ball and run at them.
Because he's not a high ball expert, is he? So out on the wing, he could be a defensive liability. And then at 12, he's not like a link player. He hasn't got a kicking game, so he's not like Geordie Barrett. So he doesn't fit into Dave Rennie's team in those positions, but as just a roving threat who's getting turnovers and running over the top of people, that could be ideal in the last 20 minutes. And maybe I've gone conservative with ALB and Rico on my bench as my back reserves. Maybe if you go one of those and then add a guy who's a pocket rocket like a Leroy Carter or a Tavatava Nawai or even a Moni Narawa or a Fihi Whinianga-Nofo. Like, those are some absolute weapons that you can introduce into the game with 20 to go.
It's meant to be impact, John. The bench is meant to make an impact, right? It's not meant to be guys that are closing the game down.
But does impact mean score a try and win the game, or does impact mean make a try-saving tackle or kick a 50-22?
All of it.
Everything. All of the above.
Yeah.
Well, man, we've got some options.
Or create something which actually inspires your teammates by doing something, which is what Tavatava Nawai does. The other position that, look, if we had a worry, would it be 9? Given the attrition rate, we were light. We only took over.
We needed to take a fourth halfback.
We needed to take a fourth one. And now, look, if Ratimer's got this injury, I don't think he plays. He's
not going to play. They were awaiting scans on his knee.
Okay, so I think that Preston plays. And, we need Hotham there, because if one of those guys got injured, well, then we're down to one halfback. Is that your biggest worry in terms of if we lost a player, Mark? I think Preston can step in for Roigard. He's not Roigard, of course, but I've got confidence in him coming off the bench if necessary.
Yeah, but then he's basically there as a pivot. He gets to the breakdown quickly. He's probably still got, I think, the best contestable kick of the halfbacks, better than still Roigard in terms of if we want to play the South African way and we want to try and turn them around and see if we can got our chasers and force them to maybe knock on or turn possession over. But look, it was always a head scratcher that we only took 3 to start with, because look, Hotham actually hasn't been part of this All Black environment from day one. Yet you've got Dave Rennie coming in, trying to get players up to speed on the way they want to play and how important is the role of a halfback. And I think it's always been a mistake. I couldn't believe, again, when they initially picked Rico. Now we've gone on about how he's proven himself, taking both Narawa and Rico, and yet only taking 3 halfbacks and only 5 locks. It was always like, what the hell is going on here? It's such a pivotal position. Yeah, I mean, we asked earlier who the 2 players that you can't least afford to lose. And I did say in the message to you, outside of Roigard. So Roigard to me is the most valuable player in the All Black in terms of a player you want to have on the field. And I think you're seriously on the back foot if you lose him. The other 2, of course, as I said, was Lomax and obviously Fabian Holland. But look, it is what it is. You've been picked. They deem you to be good enough. The nice thing is, at least with what's his name that's just come in as halfback?
Hotham.
Hotham, is that he has international experience. So, look, the thing is, as long as Roigard's fit and available, it's not a worry at the moment.